Welcome, Zack Cherry. Guys, this is a place where we love to discuss all things horror movie related. With that said, today we are going to be talking about the remake of Black Christmas, which just dropped in theaters this past weekend and has turned out to be a commercial and critical failure. So we're gonna go over the 9 reasons as to why that is. As always, before we get started, I need you guys to meet me in the comment section down below. Have you seen any or all of the Black Christmas movies? If so, which one is your favorite? Be sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. And if you're finding yourself here for the very first time, consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the horror movie fun. Now, obviously, a spoiler warning is in effect for this video. If you have not seen the 2019 version of Black Christmas, I will be talking about key points of that movie. I am going to try to keep my personal opinion to a minimum in this list and focus more on actual facts, but I probably should preface this by saying I did not like this movie at all. So starting off this list with number 9 is remake fatigue. You know, the original remake came out in 2006 and we are just a mere 13 years later, which I mean seems like a long time, but considering that Black Christmas is not exactly a very well-known horror property, it is for horror fanatics like myself. There are probably other movies that they could focus on rebooting before taking on Black Christmas, which even in the 2006 remake was not that popular. Reason number 8 is timing, and what I mean by that is release month, as December is notoriously known to be a really bad month to release horror movies, as since 1981 there have only been 3 December horror movie releases that have grossed over $10 million. I would think that releasing Black Christmas, especially a movie that is not high in demand, to release that in the middle of December would be a huge mistake, especially when you're projecting to earn over $10 million, which has clearly been shown to be a feat that is near impossible over the last 40 years almost. Reason number 7, this movie was rushed in and out of production so quickly. It seemed like it was announced in the middle of June and then a week later filming had started. So I don't know how long before they actually announced this movie they had been planning it, but it seemed like it was all just thrown together at the last minute, thrown into production, and then production lasted just a little over a month, and a month later we got the trailer release. It doesn't really give us enough time to absorb the information, as you know, most casual horror fans wouldn't have heard about this movie at all until all of a sudden it just dropped in theaters. Reason number 6 is creative liberties. Now, spoiler territory here, this movie has absolutely nothing to do with Black Christmas 1974, Black Christmas 2006. There are very loose connecting fibers, mostly the fact that this takes place in a sorority, and rather than receiving harassing phone calls, these girls receive harassing DMs. And that's about, and it takes place at Christmas time. And I'm gonna get to that in a second too, because I have a lot to say about Christmas as far as this movie goes. But they essentially just took the title Black Christmas and made a completely new movie. Now, another point I need to make about this is going back to 2018 during the release of the Halloween reboots, Jason Blum was asked why he doesn't have any female directors helming any of his productions. And, you know, he was kind of put on the spot with this, and his response was that there just wasn't enough female directors in the business that wanted to be part of horror movies. Now, a lot of people got really mad about that and spoke out about it, as there are a lot of female directors in Hollywood that want to work on these productions and want to do horror movies. So I can see how his response would be interpreted as being a little like tone deaf. However, I don't consider there to be any bad intentions or malice behind anything he said, and a lot of the responses to it were just, a little extreme. It's just people being offended by everything in this day and age. It's put him on the spot and made him feel that he needed to, be more progressive in his approach with hiring females. Now, obviously, I think that, we should have a lot of female directors and writers and just females in general working on movie productions. However, I feel like because he was under so much pressure, he just kind of chose a director in Sofia Takal and gave her carte blanche to do whatever she wanted to do with this movie, and with the help of April Wolf writing it and Sophia co-wrote it. They just kind of threw the shit at the wall, and whatever stuck. And Jason Blum, being under this microscope of sexism, was just kind of like, go ahead, do what you have to do. Make this movie great. I trust you, because, I can't say otherwise. Now, I don't agree with this at all. Find a female director, absolutely, but have a better vetting process, because, it just seems like you blindly just gave this movie to someone and they churned out something that clearly has not produced good results. And that brings me to reason number 5, which is the PG-13 rating. Now, this is a direct result of Sofia Takal choosing to release this movie as PG-13, as she felt that it was more necessary to have a less restrictive rating to bring in a younger female audience, as this is what the demographic that she wants to show this movie to. And as we know, PG-13 and horror are not friends. They don't get along, and in the past, if PG-13 has been assigned to your movie, that is the death knell, and you can expect that it is going to be a very bad time, mostly because, you have to sanitize your horror and your violence so you don't get all of that gore. And I feel like when you take a movie from an R to a PG-13, you are giving up that scary tone. This is another reason for just allowing Sofia Takal to have complete creative control in this scenario, because this was a really bad decision. Reason number 4, the trailer gave it all away. There is every bit of the movie presented in the trailer right up to the very finale of the movie. There's no surprises anywhere in here. Every moment that is meant to give you a jump scare is in the trailer. We get everything. You could probably watch this trailer. I'd recommend watching that instead of the movie, as you're just wasting an hour and a half seeing this. Sorry, that's me getting personal here with my opinion, but it's true. And then kind of piggybacking off of that reason, we have reason number 3, which is just a poor marketing campaign. Now, we didn't really get a whole lot of content gearing us up for this movie. They just kind of dropped it on us right up at the very end, to the point where we hadn't even considered are we gonna go see Black Christmas? It's coming out in a couple of months. No, it's oh, there's this Black Christmas movie out today, should we go see it? No, because we're gonna go see Jumanji or some shit. Reason number 2. Now, this kind of goes back to Sofia Takal having complete creative control over this movie, and that's the fact that we have a very large, overreaching social commentary. And, this is obviously the Me Too movement, and, we're starting to see a lot more of that in horror movies right now. I don't know if anyone saw Countdown, but that came out a few months ago, and there was kind of this weird subplot pigeonholed into this movie, and it seemed very out of place, and it felt more just Hollywood trying to be current and having these social commentaries, and it had nothing to do with the context of the rest of the movie. Now, in this case, this is the entire movie. This makes up for the entire movie, but it comes off so heavy-handed to the point where you can write a script for a movie, and you can have this social commentary like laden in deep subtext, but we don't have that here. There is no subtext. This is just blatant text. And it takes you out of the movie. You're not actually watching a horror movie at this point. You're watching an expose on this current issue, which, you know, is a huge deal and should absolutely be explored in all sorts of entertainment, especially the horror genre, but not to the point where it is completely saturated. And then the number one reason, now this is probably going to be the most opinion driven, is that this movie is just really boring. There's not a lot happening in the first 2/3, like none of the action or horror really commences until over an hour into the movie, and by that point I'm just watching these girls, or just like kind of following them around as they're, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. Something seems amiss, but you know not everyone is kind of like agreed upon it, so it's more so like we're always several steps ahead of these characters and just kind of watching them catch up, and it's dull, and this movie is devoid of any, you know, suspense or tension because of that. And then I feel like the overall theme of Christmas is just not in this at all. And, you know, especially when you consider the 2006 Black Christmas, which is just rife with like Christmas imagery and the whole winter aesthetic and the icicles and the Christmas trees and the candy canes. And you have that in this movie, but I feel like the color palette is so dull. Everything is just drained out of it. The idea is that, like, yeah, it's taking place at Christmas. They're doing Christmas related things, but it's so peripheral, whereas in like the original Black Christmas and the 2006 remake, we get this visual sense that it is Christmas. And in here, this movie, we just don't get that, and it adds to the boringness of the movie. Anyway, guys, that is my takeaway from Black Christmas 2019, as well as the critical takeaway and the fact that this movie has essentially bombed at the box office. Now, I think that had they just, you know, used this original concept, you know, kind of figured it out a little bit better and marketed it as a completely new movie with a new title, then this probably could have been a pretty good movie. Make movies like this. Make Me Too themed movies, but have them be original ideas. Don't leech off of already existing horror properties, and be more discerning with the quality of the movies that you are making. Don't just give it to anybody because you think that it is socially relevant to do so. Before I let you guys go, I just want to let you know that I've been working at correlating my Instagram account better with this channel, and really just stepping up my game when it comes to posting content there. So if you're interested in following me and just seeing more about who I am and my horror movie obsession and my collection of my wall as it grows, and just, you know, news about videos that are coming up and all that, you can find me on there. Anyway, guys, that's it for me today. I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back.